Navigating the Maryland farm registration process for produce growers. As a part of the Food Safety Modernization Act Produce Safety Rule, adopted into Maryland law in 2019, the Maryland Department of Agriculture has initiated a mandatory registration process for Maryland produce farmers. Constructing an inventory of farms in Maryland allows MDA to prioritize education, technical assistance, and compliance information to regulated farms and businesses, and also helps them exclude the farms that are not required to comply with the rule. In general, most information submitted to MDA through the registration process is considered commercial confidential under Maryland law, so it is not subject to disclosure to the public or other state or federal agencies. There are a few different types of registrations a farm may have to fill out depending on what the farmer grows or who they sell to. This presentation, along with the MDA PSR Exemption and Compliance Date Fact Sheet, is designed to help direct Maryland ag agents and farmers towards the appropriate registration form or forms. There are two categories of registrations for Maryland produce farmers. The first category is the Maryland General Registration Form. This form is for all Maryland farmers who grow and sell any amount of fruits or vegetables, or for farmers that do not grow any produce and wish to be removed from MDA's produce grower inventory. The second category is comprised of additional forms a farm may elect to complete if they're eligible and wish to be exempt or partially exempt from the PSR. First, we'll discuss the General Registration Form. The General Registration Form, titled the FSMA Produce Safety Rule Registration Form, is a one-time registration that all fruit and vegetable farmers in Maryland need to fill out. This includes farmers who are subject to the PSR, as well as farmers who may be exempt from the PSR. Why is this form important? Well, this form helps the farmer establish their compliance dates and also assists the farmer in determining their eligibility for either partial or total exemption from complying with the produce safety rule. If a farmer is fully covered by the rule and has already registered with MDA, they are not required to register again. Farmers should download and complete this fillable form from the MDA website and submit it either electronically to produce.safety@maryland.gov or mail it in to the Maryland Department of Agriculture Food Quality Assurance Program, located at 50 Harry S. Truman Parkway in Annapolis, Maryland, zip code 21401. Now on to additional registrations. First, we'll talk about exemptions. There are 3 instances where a grower may be exempt or partially exempt from the produce safety rule. Each instance requires a one-time registration from the farmer. To keep the farm in these categories, be sure to store the past 3 years of fruit and vegetable sales records starting as soon as possible. All of the forms we will be talking about are also available on the MDA website and can be emailed or mailed to MDA. If the farmer you are working with sells on average under $27,528 in produce over the last 3 years, adjusted for inflation each year, then they will need to fill out a one-time sales value exempt registration. Both covered produce and non-covered or rarely eaten raw produce is included when calculating this total. If the farmer you're working with only grows non-covered or rarely consumed raw produce, then they will need to fill out a one-time no covered crops registration. As a reminder, here's the current list of those produce items. If the farmer you're working with sells all their produce to further processing, which uses a method that reduces the presence of microbial pathogens, for example, cooking, canning, and freezing if blanched first, then they need to fill out a one-time commercial processing registration. These farms are not exempt from all requirements of the rule and are not exempt from inspections. For all of these categories, if a farmer's status changes, For example, if they submitted a no covered crops form and then started growing strawberries next year, the farmer must notify MDA. If you think a farm may be eligible to be qualified exempt, it'll be necessary to determine the farm's status. As a refresher, farms are eligible to be qualified exempt from the produce safety rule if, in the last 3 years, they have sold on average less than $550,551 in food, adjusted for inflation each year, with more than half of that food being sold to qualified end users. Remember, the definition of food encompasses things like animal sales and animal feed sales, and qualified end users are entities like grocery stores or farmers markets. We strongly recommend a one-on-one consultation to confirm this status. Please reach out to the Maryland Department of Agriculture, whose contact information is at the conclusion of this presentation, for further assistance. It's important to note that, if eligible, Maryland farmers can choose to be qualified exempt or not. If not, they will be entered into the inspection pool along with other covered farms. Eligible farmers who choose to apply for qualified exempt status will fill out a two-step application annually. First, they will fill out the page titled Produce Safety Rule Qualified Exempt Registration Worksheet. This worksheet helps the farmer decide if they are eligible for qualified exempt status. This worksheet should be signed, dated, and kept by the farm to serve as the farm's required annual review of food and produce sales. This page should not be submitted to MDA. Then, the farmer will fill out the second page of the application, entitled Produce Safety Rule Qualified Exempt Registration. This sheet is required to be submitted annually to MDA to maintain qualified exempt status. Remember, as qualified exempt, farms are subject to modified requirements of the PSR. They will need to keep a rolling 3-year record of food sales. Additionally, there is a labeling requirement for qualified exempt farmers. For more information on the PSR requirements farms are subject to based on their exempt, qualified exempt, or covered status, check out the resources and food safety updates on the Maryland Food Safety Network websites. If you have any questions about this presentation, the FSMA PSR, or other produce safety inquiries, please don't hesitate to contact any member of the Maryland Food Safety Network.